So in order to make that blanket, they are the simplest stitches, and I'm going to go ahead and show you. I don't know what that pattern is called. I know some of you might, so if you know it, drop it in the comments. But if you're brand new, we're going to start out with a slip knot. So I'm going to take my yarn like this. This is the short side here. This is the side attached to the ball or skein of yarn. You're going to cross the small over the big and reach through that and grab that piece of yarn, the part of the yarn that's hooked to the skein, and then you're going to pull it through. And the reason you do that is because you want the movement to be on the long side of the yarn, so attached to the skein of yarn. And then you're going to pull it tight. Not too tight, just tight enough where it's not going to slip off. You want some give to it. You want it to move a little bit so that you don't get all caught up. And I'm sorry if I go off camera. I'm going to try to remedy that, and I'll get better as I make more videos. But we're going to do a chain. And a chain is simply where everything you do starts. You're going to yarn over, which means you're going to pull that yarn over your hook, and then so that it grabs. See how it grabs it? So you're going to yarn over, pull it through that loop that you made, and that's a chain. Yarn over, grab that yarn and pull it through the loop. That's 2. And you're going to count these in even numbers. You're going to want an even number chain. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Regardless of what you're making with this stitch, you're going to just kind of want to gauge how many are in your chain by how wide you want your project. So there are a lot of things you can Google and look up and see how many chains for a blanket. How many chains do you need for a scarf? So for this example, I'm going to do 20. 20 is how many stitches I'm always going to count going back and forth. So I'm going to chain one more. So in a pattern, if you're looking at it or reading it online, it'll say chain an even number plus 1. This is the plus 1. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a base chain of single crochets. A single crochet, you're going to skip this loop right here, or this chain right here, and you're going to go into the second one. So that's kind of why you made that extra one, because that counts as a first single crochet. Or it does not count as single crochet. So you're going to go in through that chain, yarn over, grab your yarn, and pull it through the chain space. You'll have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, and pull through both loops, and that is a single crochet. Right through the next one, and I'm going to try to get as close as possible so you can see I'm doing this. Go right through the next one, yarn over, hook that yarn, pull it through the loop, yarn over, and pull it through both loops on your hook. Okay? So I'm going to do another one. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, and you're going to keep going all the way across until you get to 20. 7, 8, 9, 10. If you're getting a little frustrated with this part, it's going to get easier because this base chain is kind of the hardest to make, this first row, because your base chain just doesn't have a lot to it. So give yourself some grace and just keep trying. It takes some time to get your rhythm. It takes some time to figure out how you're going to hold your yarn and your hook. There's all different ways to do it. I wrap my yarn around this finger twice. I always am like holding on to my work with this hand to hold it steady, especially, and then this side, especially on a base chain. So I'm just going to go across to 16, 17. I want to make sure I did that right, and I have 20 stitches. So how you count your stitches is by these little V's. That's a stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So I've chained 20 I have made 20 single crochets across. That's the first stitch you have to use, and you won't use single crochets after that, except at the very end to finish it. I always start and finish my blankets with a base row of single crochets. So a lot of people will say chain 1 and turn. I do not do that. That is not the way that's not the way I keep straight edges. I turn my work. Okay, and the first stitch I'm going to want in this pattern is a double crochet. But to make this end one, instead of a double crochet, I'm going to go in, and you're going to go underneath that V right here, the very first one. So here's the loop on your hook. There's that very first V. I hope you can see that okay. There's that very first V. You're going to go underneath both of those strands of yarn. You're going to yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. That's like a single crochet. And then you're going to chain 2. 1, 2. That will substitute as a triple crochet. It will keep your edges really straight, which if you are a beginner, this is a great thing to learn going forward because keeping your edges straight can be really tough. So in the next chain, this one, I'm going to put a slip stitch. So you're going to go under those 2 strands of yarn, under the V, yarn over, pull through. You'll have 2 loops on your hook, and you're going to pull it all the way through that first loop. In the next stitch, you're going to do a double crochet. So this time I get to actually teach you a double crochet. Yarn over before you do anything with this chain space. You're going to, or the chain. You're going to yarn over, go through the chain underneath both of those V's, both of those parts of the V, yarn over, and pull through. Okay, now you got 3 loops on your hook. Let's try to center again. Yarn over, pull through 2, 1, 2, and you'll have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over, and pull through those second 2. That is a double crochet. I'm going to show you those a couple of times. So the next one is going to be a slip stitch. So you're going to put it through the chain. Make sure you get both. Yarn over and pull through. 2 loops on your hook. You're going to keep pulling that one through all the way through the first loop on your hook. I hope that makes sense the way I'm explaining it. In the next chain, you're going to do a double crochet. Yarn over, go underneath that V of the stitch, yarn over and pull through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And when I first started crocheting, it was really a cadence for me. It was very relaxing to say to myself, through the loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. I just got in the habit of doing it. So in this next chain, you're going to do another slip stitch. So you're going to go underneath the entire chain, yarn over and pull through, and then keep pulling through the one on the loop on your hook. And then double crochet, yarn over, under the entire stitch, yarn over and pull through that stitch, 3 on your hook, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. In the next one, it'll be another slip stitch. So yarn over and pull through and keep pulling through all the way through that loop. The slip stitch is easy. I don't know if I described it very well, but hopefully I did. And you could kind of see a pattern emerging here of just a little bit of a, I don't know what you would want to call it, like a little bit of a wave. So the next one is going to be a double crochet, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And the whole pattern of this is going to be this pattern of double crochet, slip stitch, double crochet, slip stitch. So we're going to do slip stitch, double crochet, slip stitch, double crochet, slip stitch, double crochet, and I'll see you at the when we get to the very last stitch. So don't get into your last stitch until we get there. Okay, so I'm at the end of my row. I've got one more stitch to do right here. And the last one I did was a double crochet. So the next one I'm going to do is just a slip stitch into that last stitch. And you're going to want to count because this should be stitch 20. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to count my stitches. It's going to be a little bit wonky because do you see how they aren't as uniform as they were? So you're going to count 1. That's that double crochet there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Last one was 20, so I'm still on track. Again, do not chain at the end of this. You're going to turn your work, and into this, you're going to do right into that. Here's the loop on your hook. Here's that loop right underneath it. You're going to go right into that, right underneath it. Yarn over and pull through. Do a single crochet, which means yarn over and pull through both loops. And I'm going to try to make this make sense. This one that you're working in is a slip stitch. Into every slip stitch, you're going to want to do a double crochet. And into every double crochet, you're going to want to do a slip stitch. So on the other, coming back the other way, you're going to kind of want to reverse it. And look how pretty that one row turned out just with those 2 stitches. I just love this stitch. I love this stitch so much. It's pretty for scarves and for blankets, and it has good drape. It's really nice, and it's super easy. So you single crocheted in there, and then you're going to chain 2. That counts as a double crochet. In this next stitch, which these stitches are going to be a little bit wider, this is how I kind of keep track of where I'm at. This is your double crochet. It's going to be a little bit wider. So you're going to do a slip stitch in there. And don't miss these. Don't miss these slip stitches from the last row. because those slip stitches, the ones that seem really little in comparison to the other stitches when you look from the top, that's where you're going to want to put your double crochet. So yarn over through that slip stitch that you did, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. The next one is going to be a little bit wider, so you know you're going to put a slip stitch in. Now, when I do my slip stitches with this pattern especially, I don't make it really tight. I kind of make it loosey-goosey so that the next time when I'm working through it, it's not a struggle. So in this tiny stitch, you're going to yarn over, go through your chain, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. The next one, you're just going to do a slip stitch. The next little one, double crochet. This next one, slip stitch. And the next, a double crochet. And you're just going to keep doing that. You're just going to keep repeating slip stitch, double crochet, slip stitch, double crochet. It seems like a little monotonous, but to me, this is one of the most relaxing stitches, and it also works up really beautifully. So it looks like you did something fancy when you really didn't do too much fancy anything. And after you get really established, you can kind of stop counting. I always count like every couple rows just to make sure I don't have to frog a bunch of stuff out, which means pulling out your work. I'll show you an example of that really quick, because there's certain terms that you learn as you go. Oops, I accidentally did a single crochet. It's just a slip stitch. And towards the end, like I'm at the end besides this first double crochet. So this is my last slip stitch that I did in the previous row. So it's kind of tiny. It gets a little tight over here. So don't forget this one, because this is going to be a double crochet. Oops. It's a little struggle. This is also why I don't pull those really tight. But the end one can get kind of tighter. So you're going to pull it through and you're going to do a double crochet. And then in this last stitch, which is going to be a little bit funky, it's going to kind of bend to the side. It's going to be a little bit strange looking. You're going to put your hook through and you're going to slip stitch like you would. You're still following that pattern. And that is how you end. So all of my rows end with a slip stitch and begin with that kind of faux double crochet that I make at the beginning. But you're starting to see the pattern now. So turn your work. And in that first stitch, you're going to do a single crochet, chain 2. That kind of makes up for a double crochet. And then in that wider stitch, that next stitch, slip stitch. Tiny stitch, double crochet. Wider stitch, slip stitch. Tiny stitch, double crochet. You're going to do it all the way across. I'm going to do it one more time. Slip stitch, double crochet. I always like to have a lot of yarn pulled out. That's why I like this loops and threads, because it comes out really nice from the center. I do not like working from the outside of the ball at all. So now, see, I can see that I made a double crochet. I can also see that this is one of the bigger stitches. So I know I'm going to do a slip stitch. Double crochet. Oops. Slip stitch. Double crochet. Now, let's go back to what frogging is. So when people say you're going to frog it, you're just going to pull the work out. It just comes out nice. Just basically undoing your work. But I frogged until I got to what I can tell is a slip stitch. So, and a little stitches after it. So I'm going to do a double crochet, slip stitch, double crochet. And I only frog out usually until I get to the stitch I missed. So if I'm off count, if I get to the end of my row and it's a double crochet instead of a slip stitch on this pattern, I know I've missed a stitch somewhere. I've skipped one. And then I'll recount. I'll kind of look at them and say, you know, where am I missing one? Kind of look over my work, and then I'll frog it out until that point, and then put that missing stitch in there, or get rid of an extra stitch. And with this, as you go, it's kind of going to turn, you know, like the loops will be kind of on the back side, so you might want to turn your work a little bit towards you so you can really be seeing these top stitches. So that was a slip stitch. This is a tiny stitch, so I know it's going to need a double crochet, slip stitch. Now, this is one that's typically skipped because this little one is so tiny, but don't forget that you're going to always end with a slip stitch in this pattern. So you're going to go through that and do a double crochet, and then you're going to do a slip stitch into that right where it curves around on that stitch. Slip stitch. Turn your work and start over. But do you see how the pattern is working up? One of the easiest stitches I know that looks like it's so much more work than it is. So much more difficult than it is. Like, somebody will think you've been crocheting for years if they see a blanket or a scarf made out of this. I just think it's beautiful. And the way I end this, anytime I'm done, I'm doing rows and rows and rows and rows of this, and then I end it with a row of single crochets. So how I'm going to do that is, because this started with a base row of single crochets, I'm going to end it with a finishing row of single crochets. So I'm going to go right into that first, this is the loop on your hook, I'm going to go right into that first stitch like I always do. I'm going to make sure it doesn't get, so sometimes when I talk or whatever, I tend to pull my work like that. So I'm going to pull it pretty good and tight. And then I'm going to go into that first stitch, and I'm just going to make a single crochet like we always do. But I'm not going to chain any. I'm just going to keep it right like that. And then I'm going to make a single crochet in each stitch going forward. So the difference between the single crochet and the slip stitch is that you're going to go through the stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through two. You have to have that yarn over there. So let me show you the difference really quick just so you don't get confused. You're going to go through the stitch. This is if you're doing a slip stitch. You're going to go through the stitch. You're going to bring that yarn through and keep pulling it all the way through. There's no yarn over there. Okay, that's not what we're doing to finish. To do a single crochet, you're going to go through the stitch, yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through two. I hope you saw the difference. So again, the single crochet is into the stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through two. And you're going to do that all the way across for 20 stitches, or how many ever stitches you've got. I just happen to have made 20. Then I'll show you how straight the sides are and how this just finishes your edge up really nicely. It also, the thing that I like about doing the really straight edge on the sides is, for one, your blanket's not going to grow like this or shrink like this. And it also makes it easy to put a border on anything. So does this kind of finishing single crochet. makes your borders easier. So at the end, remember you're going to have that one that kind of tries to hide. Make sure you put a single crochet in that. And then you're going to do a single crochet into that end stitch. And that is it. But see, it gives it a nice finish at the top, a nice start at the beginning, and this is a gorgeous stitch. It also, look how straight those edges are. I mean, they are straight. That might bulge a little bit, but basically they're straight. I struggled with straight edges until I learned that trick. So I hope you're learning it early. I hope this tutorial was easy enough, and with learning that stitch, you can make, I mean, this blanket turned out just gorgeous. I made it in June, so it's a pride blankie or a rainbow blankie, however you want to make it, but you can switch colors as often as you want. You can, this was like 5 rows of that, and then I did a half double crochet in the middle, but that I did 5 rows, half double crochet, and then 5 rows. That's just my pattern, but basically you don't have to put that half double, and I didn't teach that today. But this, doesn't it look just like somebody's been crocheting for a long time? It is that simple, and the drape is great, which means how flexible your blankie is. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. If there's another stitch you want to learn, leave that in the comments as well. If you like this video, please smash that like button, smash follow. That helps me a lot to be able to teach you how to crochet absolutely free of charge. And I love doing this. I love doing this so much. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I hope to see you next time.